Well, a few weeks ago, a number of left-of-center media outlets, including the New York Times and the Washington Post, reported that during the 2016 presidential election, the Obama Justice Department received reports from an FBI informant who surreptitiously gathered information on members of the Trump campaign without their knowledge. Subsequent reporting from other press outlets confirmed that story. Fox News can now also confirm it. It happened. And yet, remarkably, many of those same media outlets are now claiming that none of this is real or ever was real. It didn't happen. People with hairspray and artificial tans are nodding into the camera and telling you that right now. A couple of high-profile Republicans, including Congressman Trey Gowdy, echoed that claim. There was no spying by the Obama FBI on the Trump campaign, they say. Anyone who claims otherwise is a propagandist or a lunatic. But who are the propagandists here? And what actually happened? We express a lot of opinions on the show, but tonight, for a minute anyway, we think it's important to get to the facts of this case. Byron York has been covering the story from the beginning for the Washington Examiner. He joins us now. So I think look, there are a lot of ways to interpret a fact set, but let's just go through slowly so we can all understand it. What we know. My understanding is that we know that the Obama FBI had an informant attached who was speaking to people on the Trump campaign and reporting back to the Obama DOJ. Do we know that?
We do know that. We do know that from the reporting. We also know it from the testimony last year of Glenn Simpson. He was the guy who founded Fusion GPS and who hired Christopher Steele, who actually was a former spy, to make the Trump dossier. In his testimony to the Senate.
Was the Trump campaign aware of this?
No.
No. So there was someone working for Intel/law enforcement agency gathering information about the campaign without its knowledge and reporting back.
According to Simpson, it was someone who had essentially volunteered. He was not recruited to infiltrate the Trump operation, but he volunteered. He was an FBI informant, and if you look at what he did, he tried to insinuate himself with some members of the Trump campaign.
So then why are anchors telling us, reporters, journalists telling us, there was no spying on the Trump campaign?
Well, I think that, first of all, the informant part is just a fact. We need to know more about it, but it is a fact.
The New York Times reported it. I read it.
Absolutely, and so did the Post, and so have other people. But there is a kind of a stupid semantic battle going on between spy and informant, and I think there's a couple of reasons for this. Perhaps people who are in the CIA and those types say, well, this is not real spy tradecraft. It's not that kind of spying. But mostly, I think the reason is President Trump, who is a master simplifier, has used the word spy, and if he uses the word spy, then it must be rejected.
But nothing to do with Trump. I mean, I think that seems like an appropriate word. Why is it not, in its vernacular sense, to gather information without the knowledge of the person from whom you're gathering it? Why is that not spying?
That appears to be exactly what they were doing. The informant that we hear about most often approached Carter Page, Sam Clovis, George Papadopoulos. These are figures in the Trump campaign, kind of very friendly approaches. Oh, we need to have coffee. I've read some of your stuff. You do a great job. Let's talk. And then in the case of Papadopoulos, at least reportedly, was saying, well, you know about the Russians in these emails, kind of getting information out of that person.
Let me just ask really quick, because you're a journalist and you cover this. I keep hearing people say, we know that's not true. Has other information arisen that I somehow missed that prove what you just said false?
No, this actually happened. This is a big semantic fight people are having.
So it's dishonesty is what we're watching then. They're lying. They're mischaracterizing this on purpose to hide something that happened for political reasons.
I think the biggest reason is the president said this. They must try to knock it down.
Thank you. I felt like I was going crazy watching this stuff.
It's a fact.
Byron York, thank you.
Thank you.
So an FBI informant reporting to the Obama Justice Department did secretly gather information on Trump campaign officials, but never told the Trump campaign about that. All the usual geniuses demand that you not call this spying. Okay, what was it? Joining us now is Julian Epstein, a former chief counsel of Democrats in the House Judiciary Committee. So why is that not spying?
Oh, I agree with everything Byron just said. I mean, I think you are getting caught up in a semantical thing.
Well, I'm not.
Well, the debate is getting caught up. A spy, I think what people think of when they think of a spy is a plant inside a campaign that's getting all kinds of information about the campaign operations. That's not what happened here, by everybody's admission. by everybody's admission, what happened here was the use of an FBI confidential informant, which is standard operating procedure in the FBI. Once the FBI has evidence that a foreign government is trying to co-opt certain individuals who are part of a campaign, in this case Papadopoulos and Carter Page. The FBI informant was simply trying to get, once Carter Page had flown to Russia, had bragged in emails
I'm aware of all this. I guess, but he was spying on the campaign.
This was an effort for the FBI to investigate whether or not, based on information they had already gotten,
understand that
there was validity to the Russians
some people have been
these two individuals.
I get it. I understand.
As foreign agents.
There are two levels, but let's just hit the first one. That's spying on the campaign. You're saying it was justified. I'm open-minded.
I'm saying it's very, very limited to two particular individuals.
But it was spying. So when I see these morons on television passing off this propaganda, there wasn't spying. It was spying. So stop lying, A. B, to the question of whether or not it was justified. If they really were concerned about this, that these two people attached to the campaign were in the employ somehow of the Russian government, why didn't they tell the Trump campaign?
Well, they did. They did.
Yeah, says they didn't.
Well, the FBI went to the Trump campaign in July of 2016 and
warned them that they were looking at, that they were spying on the campaign.
No, that the Russians were trying to infiltrate.
No, but why didn't they tell them?
Both campaigns, the Clinton campaign and the Trump campaign.
Okay.
Because you normally wouldn't, in the course of investigation, you normally wouldn't go and tell other people that might be caught up in illegal activity that there's certain things
You wouldn't tell the candidate?
FBI would do that.
So here you have the Obama administration.
Not in an ongoing administration.
The Obama administration doing this. Obama has come out against Donald Trump's candidacy, and yet his FBI agents are conducting this spying. And yet they didn't tell. Why not tell Trump? Did they believe he was working for Putin? I mean, seriously.
So there's two reasons. You make it sound like Obama's commanding the FBI.
It's his FBI.
To investigate individuals that the intelligence.
We don't know that, actually.
So there's zero evidence of that. I doubt Byron would say that there's any evidence of that. I doubt anyone would say
I'm merely saying they worked for the Obama administration. We don't know the answer because all of these media morons are telling us we have no right to ask. I'm an American. I do have a right. And I want to know what this is about.
Yeah, I don't think there was any political involvement in this decision.
We don't know that.
I think this was. There's no evidence of that, Tucker. And
there's no evidence of anything because it's been shut down. We don't know what happened.
Well, the Gang of Eight got a fair amount of information when they met with the Justice Department earlier in the week.
I don't care what some politician knows.
So I'm sure if the loyalists had any information that there was a political involvement in the decision to investigate, that would be.
God only knows. I don't trust any of these people. I'm an American citizen and a taxpayer. I've lived here all my life, and I want to know what the hell this was about. And I have a right to know.
But you're also arguing that you don't trust the FBI and the security agencies.
I'm saying, why should I trust any of this? You have one administration spying on its political opponents. We know that. It's been reported by people who hate Trump. There's no debate about that. Why shouldn't I know the full context to it? That's fair.
I would just go back, and I kind of agree with Byron. I mean, this is a case in which the intelligence agencies got information, in one case about Papadopoulos bragging to a foreign diplomat
but why not tell Trump
that he had contacts with the Russians. Hold on, let me finish the point. And then Carter Page, who had gone to Russia, who had been under investigation for years, who had been tried to be recruited by Russian spies in 2013. This is credible evidence by the intelligence agencies that the Russians are trying to
You're evading my question, and I'll end with this. Why not tell Donald Trump that we are spying on your campaign? We've talked to these guys surreptitiously. Why would you keep that from him?
Because
why doesn't he have a right to know that?
Because the information at that point was that the Trump campaign was actively soliciting information from the Russians. At least Papadopoulos was.
So they had evidence,
and potentially Carter Page.
But there's no evidence that Donald Trump did. There's no evidence now.
But also no knowledge on the FBI as to how far up the campaign it goes. So why would you inform a potential target of an investigation that they're being targeted on counterintelligence?
Because
no FBI would do that.
Political campaign. Boy, if this were happening on the other side, as God watches, I would be honest enough to say, whoa.
Let us agree on something.
If Trump was doing this to Elizabeth Warren a year from now, I would be very worried about it.
And I think that's an honest point. And let us finish on this point, because I think we could actually find some agreement. I think the idea of the FBI ever going into a campaign, a political campaign, whether it's Clinton or Trump, is very disturbing and should meet very, very high standards.
Good.
The point we should agree on is the Inspector General ought to look at this, and the Inspector General ought to determine
like yesterday, and
entirely kosher or whether it wasn't kosher.
I think the evidence will show
what Gowdy.
But first, if I hear another person on television lecture me about how there was no spying when there was spying, I'm going to say, you're lying.
It's a semantical discussion.
It's true.
It's a use of a confidential informant.
Yeah, that's just another euphemism. All right,
it's not a euphemism.
Now they're barking at me. We got to go. Julian, thank you.
It's an important distinction.